You're listening to the Bitter and Basic podcast with Katie
and Alex, where we discuss being in an in-between generation. Welcome to the final episode of Bitter and Basic. I'm Alex.
And I'm Katie.
Where we discuss the in-between generation. For the last episode, we're going to discuss amongst our group about what we've taken away from this experience, as well as what we think about our generation after these last few episodes. So let's have each other introduce ourselves.
I'm Sarah. I'm the writer of Bitter and Basic.
And I'm Brianna, and I'm the social media manager.
I'm still Alex.
And I'm still Katie.
All right, let's get into this, guys. Boom.
Welcome to the podcast, you guys, officially on this side of the camera.
Yeah.
Y'all enjoying it?
It's weird.
It feels weird.
Yeah.
Is it really? Dang.
Yes, I'm like shaking actually.
I feel like I'm...
Really?
That's how nervous I
The
am.
social anxiety
Yeah,
is real.
behind the camera, behind the screen.
Wow. Well, y'all are looking better than us, honestly. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should have switched
Dude.
roles the
Looks
whole
like
We
time.
both
Looks like I'm
got
wearing this.
into town like at 1, 2 o'clock in the
Yeah,
morning.
both from
Oh my
Arizona.
goodness.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
same trip.
Oh, dang.
Y'all should have
Yeah.
carpooled.
You would not have
Silence.
wanted to carpool with my husband.
Ooh, that would have been, I would have liked to see that, been a fly on the wall for that experience, personally.
12-hour drive.
Yeah.
That's
It's
hot.
a fun one.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Making noise.
Jesus. We're trying to have a
sorry.
genuine conversation.
I'm sorry, it was falling.
Anyways, so just to establish where we're talking from, what generations do you guys belong to? So just to clarify for the listeners, Millennials is 1981 to 1996, and Gen Z is 1997 on plus. So what about you guys? Are y'all technically Millennials or Gen Zs?
So I'm technically a millennial, like the end part of it. I'm 95. Yeah, so I grew up with a lot of elder millennial aspects of life, and so I definitely associate myself way more on the millennial side of the in-between, for sure.
And I'm Gen Z. I'm like right at the beginning, so 97. And then I have 6 younger siblings. And so I'm like right at the top. All Gen Z.
Wait, so you're 7? You are one of 7?
Yes, I'm the oldest.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Wow, I didn't know. We have been doing this for this long, and I
I
didn't know
know.
that about you. That's so interesting.
I have one sibling, and I can barely handle her. I don't know how you can handle 6 more.
Yeah, the youngest is almost a year in
Oh.
December.
Wow.
Yeah, so I could like be his mom.
Dang.
For sure.
That's
Wow,
crazy.
that is so crazy, honestly. Wow. I'm sorry, I'm blown.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
I'm-
wow. I know, literally, I'm just like, can we have a moment? I need
Yeah,
to
no, she
process.
told me when we were going over the questions, she was like, oh yeah, I'm like the oldest of 7. And I was like,
How did that
what?
just slip all the conversations that we've had
Every
Yeah.
up to this
time
point?
we talked, never came up.
Yeah, honestly, that's so interesting. Cause I'm technically a Gen Z. Also, I'm like
Same.
March of '97, so that's like I'm so annoyed that it counts, but whatever. But I only have older siblings, so I'm the youngest. By then, there's like a 6-year gap. So I feel like I'm more on the millennial side because of the influences, like you were saying, Sarah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm older than you. I was born in February of 97,
What day?
the 25th.
So you're a Pisces,
Yes, ma'am. Big old fish.
crybaby.
I hope so.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm a water
no, I'm
sign.
pretty sure when I was a kid. All right, tangent time. Let's not do that.
Okay, yeah. Anyways,
But yeah, no, I have an older sister. She's a millennial. She's 94, so just a year older than you. And I guess anything that we watched on TV was always what she wanted to watch. So I guess I grew up with a lot of like that stuff. But then again, we already got punished in class for saying that we were part of that generation.
oh yeah. We are no way claiming to be part of any other generation but our own. Let's just go ahead and
We are
But
Gen
dibs
Z.
on the millennial.
yeah, you can have it.
You can keep
I have
it.
full rights.
Sarah's like, I technically fit within it, and so we will use whatever background we want for it. So what does it mean to be part of the in-between generation to you? As far as like dating, work, like do you feel like you have encountered other people that might
Think
you
of
know,
you differently, like
yeah, judge you?
Mhm.
To me, it means like being able to claim aspects of both millennial and Gen Z. So I have 2 siblings that are Gen Z, and the youngest one, she sends me like TikTok videos all the time. And so I had to make a TikTok account because it was really annoying. I'd watch one of the videos she sent me, and it would like, oh, log in to see more, and I'd want to see the stupid next video. and then being able to just experience the Gen Z culture without having to claim Gen Z is a really nice perk of being this like weird in between, because I can sit there and be like, I'm 95, I'm a millennial. And I grew up with all that because my older cousins, they really encouraged me to like be in that type of culture back in the 90s. And the early 2000s was still like a bleed over from that, which is really cool. But for my little sister, like she didn't know what a VCR player was. And so like that was really weird to me because in my head, like I remember having a little rewind machine and you'd have to do that after every time you'd watch it. And so it's weird being able to see like the comparison but still enjoy parts of both. So I think that's kind of what it means to be. But also like the relationships we get to form through it are really cool because like I have friends who are obviously Gen Z, but I also have older friends who are millennials. And so my age group for friends ranges anywhere from like 28 is like one of my older friends, and then I have friends who are like 19. And so it's a really diverse group, and I think that's the benefit of being this weird in between, for sure.
What about you, Brianna?
I think being a part of the in-between generation is like being a part of a digital like divide or a digital era, because like millennials, they didn't really grow up with it, they didn't really have it, and then now us, we just live in this whole digital world now. And so our lives, if our jobs are online, our relationships can be online, like everything is online. And so I think that is the biggest difference between our generations.
Do you like that though? Like it kind of turning to more like of an online world?
I think it definitely has its benefits and its downfalls. For me personally, I had a job in high school, and then ever since then I've been able to have my business online, so I haven't really had to have like a real job in that sense. Everything's been on like Instagram with my website, things like that. So it's been really beneficial in that aspect. And then I met my fiance online, like on Instagram, kind of. And so just my whole life has really been like so influenced by media, and that's where I found tech, all this stuff. So I think for me, being a part of the in-between generation has had like its perks. I mean, I remember playing outside and things like that, but then I also remember when I first got Facebook, when I first got Instagram and things. So I think it was like the perfect in-between. We still had a childhood, and now we're benefiting from media.
That's good. I like that perspective a lot.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I think I feel the same way because I totally remember riding bikes every single day. But then I also remember the day I was like, my parents asked me, like, hey, can I get a Facebook? Oh, I remember even getting a MySpace.
Oh, I remember getting to
Mhm.
MySpace.
Days of MySpace.
If you weren't in my top 10, we can't talk right now.
Alex,
Yes.
what did you learn doing this podcast? What was your biggest takeaway?
I learned that I'm actually a lot more of a Gen Z than I am a millennial. And that's like super facts.
Technically?
No, like more than technically. Like
Oh, do you you feel?
I feel that way. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I grew up with so much technology. I guess, I mean, it also depends, I guess, because, like, my parents, like, were really blessed, and, like, I was able to get, like, most stuff that I wanted as a kid, so when the Xbox came out and stuff like that, like, those are all relatively, like, new, like home consoles were, like, supposed to be just at home, like, you weren't supposed to be able to play with people online, and then once, like, that became big, like, it was, like, very seldom you would see them in the house because they were kind of expensive. But, like, I remember I didn't get, like, the expensive Xbox, I got the Xbox Arcade, and that was, like, the one with, like, it just came with a memory card, not even, like, the big one on the side. So, like, I couldn't even, like, play, like, that many games. So, like, I had to, like, buy my own hard drive and all this stuff, but once I got online, I was like, oh, this is a whole new world. A whole new world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. It is kind of different with boys too, because I mean I didn't go through like a video game phase. I was like whatever
Yeah.
the little video games.
You didn't play, like, Nintendogs?
Well, yeah, for sure. But I mean that's like way different than like the first Xbox home online gaming system thing. You know what I mean? Like Nintendogs on your DS or
But
something.
think about Deer Days. You ever have a Deer Day at school? And drop everything and read? Like, where y'all would just, like, not do anything, and you would bring, like, oh, you can bring your DS, and then so, like, let's say it's 5th grade, and you're all together with y'all's Nintendo DSs, like, writing notes to each other and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Isn't that, like...
No, for sure. For sure, for sure. But I feel like those specific things, especially like quick technology like that. Like I remember everyone that was older than me had like a sidekick phone, and I always wanted a sidekick phone. But then whenever I finally got old enough to get a phone, that was like not cool. Like they weren't making sidekick phones. You know what I mean? So I feel like something like that, like a DS. Like yeah, like. But I remember when the first like dual screen DS came out, and everyone like that was so cool. You know what I mean? So yeah, the little chatting thing. I get where you're coming from.
Like, I mean, it's just, it became so different. And I think I was like really on the brink of like where everything changed. Because I remember having a VCR. And I even remember having a TV with the VCR built into
Oh,
it,
yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah.
So I remember having that. And I would record my Ed and Eddie all day.
Dude, I lived for that show as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I had so many. I'm pretty sure there's family home videos that I've overdubbed Ed and Eddie on.
Oh my god, I got in so much trouble for doing that once because I recorded the Wild Thornberries.
Oh heck yeah,
Yeah,
a
that was
classic.
my shit. That was my shit.
Yes,
I loved that show.
That was the best show ever.
And I totally re-recorded over a family home video, and it was like the only one of my sister.
Oh,
I was in so much trouble,
Well,
wow.
she should have
You
been more
know.
important, you know.
right?
What can I say? The wild thornberries priorities, you know.
Exactly.
What did you guys learn though through these podcasts? Do y'all feel like y'all personally? I know y'all were here, right, for our
Yeah, I
conversations. What did y'all feel like y'all learned, if anything?
I mean, I definitely learned that compared to like Gen Z and Millennial, especially like after the social media podcast, like Millennials definitely have a lot of like issues going on that I don't think we necessarily deal with.
Yeah.
Whereas Gen Zs are just like go with the flow, like, oh, today sucked, but I'm just gonna get over it and tomorrow's a new day. Whereas Millennials, like, shit could have happened like 6 years ago. You're still festering over it because like somebody said something to you. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing, especially like after the psychology grad student came and talked
Yeah.
to us. I really thought that was a unique perspective because she was an elder millennial, and her talking towards like how the anxiety affects the two generations differently was really interesting.
And I think also like millennials also have to deal with everybody else's problems now. I guess world problems too. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are the ones. I guess you're like the younger part of the millennials, but like all the older ones are what in their 30s now.
Yeah, it's
Something like that?
28 to 32.
You know what I'm saying? So like they're the ones who are going to be starting to fix the world's problems now. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a lot to bear on your shoulders, especially with, I guess, how the tides have turned and how everyone is saying, oh, now we need to take care of the planet. Now we need to start thinking about our like how our economy needs to stay at a standstill and stuff like that. You know, and I think that has a lot to do with like there's a lot of burden to behold on millennials.
Yeah, no, I totally agree because we're having to fix a world that should have been fixed, 50 years ago. And it's the responsibility is being placed on the shoulders of elder millennials. And even the younger ones are having to deal with the impacts of it because you get glommed together in that category. And so it's kind of tough, like, what do you do? How do you fix something that is probably unfixable?
Yeah.
For sure, but I completely agree with that. But just like James was saying, it's interesting because all of these problems that we feel like millennials or like Gen Z people are like kind of tackling now, it's the same thing could be said about the generations that were in these situations before. You know what I mean? Like I think that, but whatever, like before Gen X, before the boomers, right? Like they were, nervous about like, the boomers being lazy or, whatever, because they had never like, experienced had fought in a world war, like a war. Jeez. Okay. Yeah. Had never fought in a war or anything. Right. So it's interesting because I feel like I definitely agree that it is like a hard place to maneuver, especially now whenever they are kind of coming into the age where it's like, are millennials gonna start like running for president? Like once they're kind of like are taking the next step as far as like being in charge. It's really interesting to see how everyone kind of like reacts to that shift, and yeah, like taking that on like would be stressful.
For sure.
Which is, exciting, but definitely mostly stressful. How will future generations see us? Do you all think that we will be the boomers? Like we'll eventually become the boomers of whatever is next? we'll be. Oh my God, are we gonna become Gen Z? Oh, well, if I'm technically
We're being
Gen Z.
Zoomers.
Dude, that's actually probably what they would. That's actually creative. Should we? Should we
Oh
just
my God,
patent
we're
that now?
Zoomers. Yep.
Just copyright
We almost
it.
have 2
Yeah.
patents today. We're not talking about the other one. That's a different one.
Yeah. Don't steal our ideas. We're gonna be millionaires. Thanks.
Anyways, yeah, I think so. I think, I mean, the older you get, the more you have to hate on.
True.
And a good, better, and different, you're never going to see eye to eye with people who are coming up. And I think there's always a good friendly rivalry. I mean, it's not like boomers are out here just tearing us down and we can't do anything. No, I mean, we're doing whatever we want to at the end of the day. And I think it's going to be the same way whenever we're Zoomers and they're yelling at us. I mean, when we're yelling at them. That's what I meant.
No, same thing. Yeah.
What do y'all think the same thing?
I mean, that's a good point. Like, I never thought about it. Like, even though boomers give, millennials and Gen Z so much crap, at the end of the day, we're still doing it. Like, we're not stopping what we're doing just because of what they said. And I never really thought about it that way, and that was really interesting. That was cool.
Gotcha.
And not only that, but technology's going to get more crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And
For sure.
there's going to be like flying cars. There's going to be,
I don't think about that.
yeah, it's going to be crazy. So I think we'll definitely be the old.
We're gonna be the old people that's gonna be like, I remember when there was newspapers, or I remember when the first cell phone, the bag phones and the cars.
I don't remember the first cell phone. That's
No,
facts.
I'm not.
Well, she's like comparing it to the
Yeah.
older generation.
No, but I mean, not like you remember the first cell phone, but I can
We're-
remember.
Remember having a cell phone in our hands.
I remember the first time I saw an iPhone, like for the first
Oh,
time in
dude.
real life, right? Like that's
the new iPhone, you like flex. Like I remember that too.
the first iPhone that was
And
like
you knew
no
they
buttons.
came from a rich family.
Yes.
You knew, like, as a kid, you were like, wow, you guys have money. Can I go out to eat with you? Like, awesome.
Yeah, this whole family came to my house one time, and they were like, I had never met them before. They were like friends with my parents, and they all had iPhones. And it was like, the iPhone was like 2 days old. I was like,
Wow.
yeah.
And you know what's crazy now? Those iPhones, I think when they came out, only costed $700. I guess in
We say
2000.
only.
In
No, that's
2000
expensive as heck.
In 2000, whatever money that was. So it's like probably like
Yeah.
I guess the same amount because the new one costs $1,300.
Yeah, I was gonna say like,
But you get that $50 payment plans. It's like you win like, oh, you only have to pay $50 a month for you have to buy it all right now.
and then you smash it, 2 days later.
Don't talk about me like that. It's not nice.
Sorry, I didn't mean to at you.
Subtweeting me.
Yeah,
Okay, now we're talking like some freaking Gen
Yeah,
Z
I know.
for
It
sure.
hurts.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts on what we learned this semester or anything y'all want to clarify? Anything?
I mean, it's just really interesting seeing everybody we've talked to throughout the, show. Everybody had their own unique preconceived notions, and then sitting here bouncing ideas and questions off of each other, everybody was able to come up with a new idea at the end of the interview. And I thought that was really cool to like open people's eyes and really communicate on a level that I don't think happens as often as it needs to.
I agree.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway is just agreeing with Alex about we are Gen Z and we're not millennials, and with all like the nostalgia going around, like this podcast really put us in our place for Gen Z.
Oh, I really did.
For sure, that is a good point. And I think going off Sarah's point, it was really interesting, like seeing all the different people. Because I mean, even James earlier was talking about how he's like an optimist, right? I'm such a pessimist as a person, so I was like, oh wow, like you think everything's gonna be good, And it was just interesting to see, like, I mean, him have a total different perspective and like expect different things at the end of this. You know what I mean? And I feel like I've seen, just talking to so many people, and even just like talking to us, like, I mean, I've spent this whole semester with you guys, and we're still finding out like perspectives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bree's dad's a millennial. Like, what?
That's crazy.
That's just crazy to me because my dad was born in 1960, bro. And my aunt, this is going to sound crazy and like, please guys don't judge me. But my aunt was in the 9th grade before she saw someone that wasn't white in the same restaurant as her. Like,
Whoa,
That's crazy.
That blows my mind.
no, that is mind blowing to me, because I'm like, imagine being in the 9th grade. You know what I mean? You already are so like developed
Yeah.
as a person, right? Like the stupid 9th graders, like. But
TikToking. That's the same TikTokers.
yeah, no, and just imagine if they had only seen white people in person, like. No wonder the world is as screwed up as it is. You know what I mean?
For
like,
real, though.
Not surprised.
Okay, I got I guess another question. I just want to throw off of y'all right now, and I guess.
Yeah.
Do you think, with I guess that generation kind of fading away, do you think racism is kind of gonna like alleviate itself from now, or you think there's always gonna be some type of like racism out there?
Ooh, this is a big
Well,
topic.
You know, because you brought that up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
No,
I
for
totally
sure,
get
for
it.
sure. I don't think that it's ever going to be eradicated. I think that people are still going to be ignorant, you know what I mean? And people are still going to be assholes, you know? And I think that it's so hard, especially whenever, I mean, America's founded on being a piece of shit. America is founded on taking shit away from people. I'm about to go off. It's taking shit away from people, you know what I mean? Because they could, you know what I mean? And just like exercising the, haha, like you have no one to stand up for you, right?
exercising
Like,
their power.
yeah, and I don't think that that's ever going to go away from like humanity, you know? People
There's-
just like needing that.
Everyone wants to find power, but like I guess what I'm trying to get at is there's a whole generation that's growing up right now
Yeah.
that are being pushed to, you know what, it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, bi, black, white, yellow, green, doesn't matter. Like you want to respect someone the same way you want to be respected, and I hope, I guess, whenever my kids grow up and that there's this whole, I guess, race thing, this whole people being this way, I want that kind of to go away. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
I mean, there's always going to be someone who's a purist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of sucks, but I hope, because I mean, like how you're saying,
Yeah.
being in the 9th grade and not seeing a person of a different color
Yeah.
until then,
Yeah.
it has some type of like impression on your
Oh,
mind.
for
You know what I'm
sure.
saying? And now, I mean, we see different colors every day. We see different people every day in
Yeah,
general.
for sure.
And I hope that from like, I guess, now until forever, that does change. You know what I'm saying? Like that everybody's more accepting towards things like that. How do y'all feel about that?
I definitely think with how social media is shaping our world today, we're able to like spread that type of diversity in a way that, you know, generations in the past couldn't do. Because I mean, you look on, you know, models today. There's models out there that have like what is called vitiligo, right?
Oh
The-
yeah,
this-
Winnie Harlow.
Yes.
Yeah, but she's also really not a good person. But we're not.
I've also heard. I also. Heard
Yeah, but I just meant like just seeing somebody who's
Yeah,
different.
yeah, for sure.
And like that's not something we're gonna see in our lifetime, like in person, at least not commonly.
I have a friend who is actually.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's actually really cool. We call him Two Tone, but I mean that's.
That's like a friend thing. Though. That's like a friend thing.
Yeah, but that's
Edit
like
that
our.
out, please. No, I'm just kidding, I'm just
He's
kidding.
Mexican, but I mean,
I'm
it's
just-
all good. Okay,
Yeah.
But, like,
let's go on.
It's that kind of concept, though. Just the fact that, I mean, growing up, I never knew about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you get older, like being exposed to the internet, you see people that are like that on there, and you're like, oh, what is this? Like, why is this happening? And you get to figure more out about it.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with like race. It's the same way with religion. We're so connected through social media, and we can sit there and explain ourselves and like explain to other people what our cultures are, what our races are, what our religions are. And it's a really interesting concept. Whereas like our generations are encouraged to share, whereas before nobody could talk about it. Like you couldn't talk about your sexuality. You couldn't talk about, you know, your religion. You couldn't talk about your job salary.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Yeah.
It was like a
huge
big
thing.
taboo. Even like if you even brought it up, like don't ever bring that up. Like.
Oh yeah. No,
Which is-
even today, like if you have somebody who isn't like our generation employing you, they're gonna tell you, don't talk about your salary
Yeah.
because it's such a taboo to them.
Which is so interesting because, like, we have these societal norms, like, stuff like that. Like, don't ask about this, don't talk about this. But then we wonder why women were paid, like, a fourth of what men were paid just because we weren't allowed to talk about it. It's like,
Exactly.
but it's stuff like that, you know what I mean? Where, like, yeah, like, because we're so open, I think that, like, gaps like that, you know what I mean, between, like, cultures or, like, genders or whatever your sexual orientation is, I feel like that's gonna close, and also people are going to stand up for other people a lot more because I think that people know someone or have read a story or, like, you know what I mean, have been, like, personally touched in one way or the other where they feel like, oh, you know, that's not right. I think people are more inclined to, like, do the right thing behind closed doors now in a way. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that people are more aware of, like, the consequences of, like, not doing what they need to do. Well, I'm glad. I feel like overall this podcast, I feel like I feel like we are empathetic as people of this, like, time now, but I feel like I've definitely learned more in, like, perspectives, you know what I mean, which I feel like is important, like, especially, like, as we all are graduating this semester, like, we all approach, like, the world or, like, you know, the void, you know, and I think that, like, hearing all these people kind of go through it, you know, and, like, all the different guests that we've had, it kind of just, like, makes me feel a little bit better about, like, being who I am and, like, going to, like, make the next step, you know what I mean, with, like, the skills I have, because as, like, a person, I feel like maybe I'm not so equipped with everything that you need, you know, in life. Like, I don't know taxes or anything, honestly, at all. And so I feel like, you know, you get nervous going out into the world, but I feel like you see so many other people do it, like, they didn't know what they were doing, you know? So I feel like better. Just
Yeah.
hopefully, right?
All right, I guess we'll just wrap this up. What is
Yeah.
your one takeaway that you think was like you really took away from this thing?
I don't know. I don't want to go first. I don't know. I don't feel like I have a one takeaway. I feel like I just feel,
Enlightened.
yeah, that's a good. I feel like enlightened. I feel like this isn't something I personally would have like signed up to do, especially like talk to like professionals in these fields. Like I would have loved to just like have conversations, but I'm glad that we implemented like other people who have like a higher perspective than we do, you know? And I think that just like was important as far as like us evolving like as people and as like pillars in society, right? Like we are being shaped without realizing it.
Yeah, I feel that. And I guess not one takeaway, but my favorite takeaway was
Yeah.
I think the fact that we had so many different people here. People of different ages, some millennials, some older, some younger, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, it was never of, oh, well, I feel like Gen Z is this way. It was more of like, well, I think they're this way because it's like this. And obviously, yes, they were of higher education. They knew more than us. But then again, they never ever like were demeaning at any point, and neither were we towards millennials
Yeah.
or anything like that. And it always was a good conversation, and it always ended on a positive note. Like I just felt like we always learned something from each and every episode, and that's like my favorite part about this whole project. It was really really fun.
Yeah, I definitely agree. What about you guys?
I mean, I loved it. I loved being able to come up with the questions for
Yeah.
each of the interviews. I mean, try to do my research. But I mean, just being able to hear their responses was amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
And you, Brianna?
So my one takeaway would be just getting to see how everything evolved and like I guess for like the social media and the website design, getting to really like understand like what those graphic elements were, like the design elements from those times, because when we tried the millennial one, how that was like different. So I think that was cool, and then just being able to like sit in and listen to everything.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was cool, like, how we started off as, like, a thought and, like, a project, and then, like, we've actually, like, done the whole thing, you know what I mean? And I'm proud of us for, like, doing it and completing it, and us, like, staying true to, like, what we wanted it to be for the most part, you know? Like, I know that there were some bumps in the road, but I feel like for the most part, like, I'm happy with, like, the execution of it, and, like, us working as a team, I feel like we all, like, collaborated really, really well. And, like, along with, like, everyone that we interviewed, I feel like agreed, like everyone came in like with a positive attitude, and everyone was like so nice and like wanted to be here. And I feel like as much trouble as we did find, as much trouble as we had like finding people to be on here, I feel like we found like really good fits and like genuine people who like were interested in like the content and stuff. So I really couldn't like be more thankful.
Yeah, honestly. Well, that's the last episode, guys. Thank y'all for watching, listening. I don't know what else.
Thanks
kind
for
of
tuning in.
smelling, maybe.
Yeah. Thanks
I
for
don't know. It was awesome. I
vibing.
enjoyed this.
Yeah, peace. Bitter and basic out.
What's up, guys? Thank you for listening. This is Alex.
And Katie.
Follow us on Instagram at Bitter and Basic Podcast and on our YouTube channel.
Subscribe, like, comment, engage.
Thank you.